now, right 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 now. Oh, I got a real good feeling.
We try to bring you high-quality educational and informational content every single day. Why do you think the price is having such an anemic time? The news story of the hour. Jump onto the chart. Is this the beginning of a massive financial unraveling? We got to add a little addendum to the show map today. So we start here on the daily. Now, we've been looking at the RSI on Bitcoin's daily chart for the last several days. It always has been, but it's been increasing over the last 50 years since the government has been bigger. Hey guys, what's going on? Jeb here, and welcome back to Coffee and Crypto Live. This is your week daily morning show where we bring you the latest in everything Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. And in today's episode, we are going to be talking about the corrective movement that is occurring right now on Bitcoin. As you already know, Bitcoin had dropped all the way down to $60,000, but over the last 48 hours, we have seen a corrective movement down to about 57. For the last week and a half, if you've been watching the channel, I have been shouting about how we're probably going to see a drop down to $55,000, down to a certain uptrending level of support that has underpinned the cryptocurrency market for the entire duration of this bull market. Today, we have begun that corrective movement, and we shall see if Bitcoin is going to drop even farther, if the altcoins are going to drop even farther, and we shall be discussing whether we should be deploying cash right now in this largest drop so far during this bull market. You see, the interesting thing about this correction is that it is the biggest crash that Bitcoin has seen thus far in the last 18 months. This is the fifth 20% corrective movement that we have witnessed since January 1st of 2023. In that time, we have seen those 5 corrections, and until we drop below $60,000, this had been about a 20% drop as well. With this corrective movement, Bitcoin has now dropped about 22%, and that leads us to the conclusion that this is obviously the largest correction that Bitcoin has gone through so far this bull market. What does that mean? Does this mean the Bitcoin bull market is over? Hint, hint. No. Is this a good thing? Hint, hint. Yes. We'll be talking about this crash today and how we should be responding to it with our investment, because as you already know, my number one goal is to help you achieve financial sovereignty. I want you to live in a financially sovereign way. That means having control over your finances. It means being the one that tells your money where to go, not having it tell you where to go. That means growing your money, growing your wealth in a consistent and sustainable way rather than it disappearing into God knows where. It is my dream to help you be radically generous and live an awesome inheritance, live a great life, have peace and flourish. And that can be achieved through the biblical wisdom of financial sovereignty. So today we will be talking about how to approach this market in such a way that we are able to set ourselves up for success. My name is Jeb McAfee. Welcome to the cryptocurrency channel here. We've been running the Crypto Jeb YouTube channel for almost 7 years. It will be turning 7 this November. I got into cryptocurrency 7 years ago in July. So it's been a wild ride. I've been making YouTube videos for over a decade, and it's very interesting to me being here in front of the camera and talking to you guys. It's always been my dream since I was a little boy, since I was like 4th, 5th grade. It was my dream to be a YouTuber. And now I get to do it every single day. I get to educate you guys on finance. And so thank you very much for being here. Let's get started. Let's go ahead and read some chat. We got a lot of people tuning in already. Christina Orozco is in chat, said morning. Sean O'Brien said right now. Right now, right now. Joe Bollier's in chat. Cynthia Dizon is in chat. Boris S. said love this intro music. Myself too. Manny Vang's in chat. Rolando, Satchet321, Wreck the Bears, Brennex Motorsports, Alex Nibo, Tim A, Crypto Sir. Good to see you, my friend. Jay is in chat. Dioraj Patiram. I'm sorry. Dioraj? I think I got the first name right. I'm sorry. I hope I didn't butcher that. Justin's in chat. Shadrach Frost is in chat. Marcus is in chat. Bjorn BCY is in chat. Queen's in chat. You know, the interesting thing about doing YouTube is you learn how to pronounce a bunch of different names. I know how to pronounce Bjorn. The O, the Nordic O. I don't know what it's called, but the O with a cross through it. It's Yorn, Orn, Or. That's the sound that makes. It's so cool. Joel Elb said, mornings, more blessings to you and your family from London. Shout out to London. Homer Simpson cryptocurrency market cap still $2.5 million. That's how you know we're in a bull market, because people are buying that stuff. All right. Let's get started. Before we do, I do want to let you know that today's stream is brought to you in part by NordVPN. If you have not already signed up for NordVPN, I highly encourage you to do so. And the reason for that is because NordVPN is the #1 virtual private network provider in the entire world. If you're looking for a VPN, look no farther than NordVPN. But if you're also looking to protect yourself and stay sovereign over your own information, identity, and money online, a great service to sign up for is a VPN like NordVPN because it will help to shroud your internet activity from prying eyes. It will help to protect you from being spotted by hackers and thieves and data brokers. There are all kinds of companies that make their living. They make their money by collecting your information through cookies and through you hitting the wrong email address, the wrong link in an email. They make all of their money through getting information on you and selling it. And guess what? They're like black market arms dealers. They don't care who they sell it to. They don't care what the person's going to do with the information. They just sell it to the highest bidder, even if that person is going to use your information to try and hack you. It is a whole underground of the internet, and I want you to be protected from it. And NordVPN is going to help keep you safe by shrouding you and keeping you invisible while you browse online. So sign up with the link in the description box down below or by going to nordvpn.com/Jeb. Let's get started. Bitcoin is currently trading just shy of $58,000, dropping recently all the way down to about, we had to refresh the page. It dropped a little bit since I said that. We've dropped all the way down to about $57,000 at the low, which is what I was about to say. That is a 7-day correction of over 13%, and we are seeing a drop on Ethereum by over 11%. Interesting. There's a couple of reasons why this is interesting, because there's quite a lot of news going on right now. You know, sometimes the way that the cryptocurrency news cycle works is that there's nothing happening for weeks. We've kind of been in that season for a little bit here. There's not been a whole lot going on. Today is quite a bit different, because there are 3 news stories that are circulating right now that are all having a major impact on the market right now. The first of which is that the FOMC is going to be meeting in about 3 hours. That's right. Today is FOMC meeting day. CME Group gives it a 99% likelihood that we will not be seeing a rate change, and that is going to be significant. That will most likely impact markets because in December's meeting, Jerome Powell posted a picture on screen behind him that was projected behind him showing a poll of the actual Federal Open Market Committee members being polled on where they thought interest rates would be at all of the meetings coming up in 2024. And every single one of them, 12, I think it is, 12 board members, it's somewhere in there, it's about a dozen of them, all of them said that they expect at least a 25 basis point rate drop in 2024. Most of them predicted that we would have one by now in the May 1st meeting, which is what's occurring today. Seemingly, that's not what's going to happen. This is sending markets into a bit of a tizzy because most CFOs around the world are now saying, I was planning on the rate drops and the debt getting less expensive. I was planning on our cost of capital going down. What the heck, Federal Open Market Committee? And now that leads the stock market into a the best word I can come up with is a tizzy, because the stock market was expecting the cost of capital, which is basically the fancy term for saying how much money we're going to have to pay in interest when we borrow money for business expansion. That number is not going to be going down the way that they thought it was going to yet, because many financial planners and experts around the world had been advising their executive leadership teams, hey, look, we're going to see interest rates go down, which is going to more than likely mean that the actual commercial banks are going to drop interest rates as well, which means cost of capital will go down, which means expansion will be easier, because while I hate debt, the fact of the matter is the world does run on debt. So when we're looking at things like the interest rate, we have to understand, even if we don't like it, that it does actually have a major impact on the market. And so with us not getting an interest rate drop yet, even though many thought that we would be, that is bearish for the market. Because obviously the market does better when you pay less in interest. Remember that whole adage of that old book that you've probably heard of called, I don't know, the Bible, says the borrower is slave to the lender. Well, part of how much slavery you're in is the interest rate you're paying. And so when the interest rate goes down, it's almost like the slavery is a little bit easier. It's not as bad. It's like you get to sleep 2 hours instead of 1 hour. And then you actually have a little bit more freedom. And the market likes that. The market likes it when the interest rates go down. Now, of course, I'm explaining it like you're a third grader, but to explain the actual understanding behind it, when the interest rates go down, the companies that are borrowing money, which is pretty much every single company, it's ingrained in our society, pretty much every single company borrows money, they are borrowing money at the Federal Open Market Committee's rate, the FOMC interest rate, the effective federal funds rate, plus interest that the banks put on top of that rate to make money off the spread, off the difference, off the margin. And so when the interest rate goes down over here at the Fed, then the commercial banks drop their interest rates as well, and that leads the cost of capital to going down in the stock market, which generally leads the stock market to move to the upside. That's the connection from an actual economics and technical standpoint. So the fact that we're not seeing an interest rate drop today, as many people were expecting and hoping we were, indicates that the stock market is probably not going to react very well to this. And that's exactly what we're seeing over the last couple of days. We've been seeing a pretty large drop ever since the market started to realize, wait a minute, we're not going to get an effective federal funds rate drop. Instead, we're going to be remaining the same. And it may take several more meetings before we actually get a drop. So today we're going to be watching very closely to see the SPY. It is currently sitting right above 500, which is huge psychological support. 500 is a little bit like $20,000 on Bitcoin. It's just a big even. In the Cryptocurrency Technical Analysis Academy, we've taught you guys about big evens. This is an example of a big even, $500. If the effective federal funds rate does stay the same, then you'll probably see a drop on stocks today. And Bitcoin is highly correlated with the stock market, which leads us back to the original point of the video, which is why Bitcoin is dropping. Part of the reason why Bitcoin is dropping is because the effective federal funds rate is not dropping. In fact, it's staying the same, which is therefore leading the stock market to go through a corrective movement. And the stock market going through a corrective movement over the last few days has led Bitcoin to go through the same corrective movement. Because when there is confidence in the stock market, which is considered a risk-off asset, then there is more exuberance in the cryptocurrency markets, which are considered a risk-on market. Now, let me just go back here and put these drawings back on screen, because if you'll recall, yesterday I gave you two different scenarios. The first of which was that we would kind of trade sideways here above 60,000 and then drop down to this uptrending level of support. The second one, and I said this is the one I actually think is more likely to happen, is that we'll just go ahead and break straight through $60,000 in the next couple of days, and we'll drop down here to this uptrending level of support. We have had this uptrend and this extrapolation drawn on this chart. As far as we've redrawn it a couple of times, but we've been predicting basically this to happen for the last, 2 weeks. It was like mid-April, like back towards tax day. I was saying that we were going to follow a ABC Elliott wave corrective movement down to this uptrending level of support. As you can see right here, we have our A wave, our B wave, and our C wave. And that, my friends, is exactly what is occurring. It should not be a surprise to any of you that watch the channel. Of course, we get it wrong sometimes. Technical analysis is not an art that you can ever get right 100% of the time, because we live in a probabilistic and uncertain universe. That being said, if you do the technical analysis, a lot of times you can get pretty spot on, and this was a good call. Bitcoin has dropped down to about $57,000, and at this point, I think it almost certain that we will drop down to this uptrending level of support. The good news is that's not exactly a bad thing. Bitcoin needed the corrective movement. Now, like I said, there's a couple of other stories that are pertinent here that we need to discuss. The first of which is very, very, very important. And that one would be to do with CZ, Changpeng Zhao. The ex-Binance CEO has been convicted to 4 months in, not convicted, he's been sentenced to 4 months in prison. Now, they were originally asking for up to 3 years. So the fact that he only got 4 months is a very, very, very good deal. So he'll be spending 4 months in prison for the charges of money laundering, fraud, and all the things that that he was overseeing, not putting a proper KYC and AML system in place, especially for Binance Worldwide and everything. He is going to be serving 4 months in prison for that time. For that sentence. This is actually a big win for Changpeng Zhao and for his legal team, because they were arguing for multiple years. The legal team cited the fact that generally it is precedent, which is important. It is precedent that the more you cooperate with the prosecution, the less time you get. And CZ has been one of the most cooperative individuals with the prosecution in history. As regards to cryptocurrency, fraud cases and whatnot. And I think a lot of that is because CZ was not trying to defraud anybody. He realized that what he was doing may not have been exactly what the legal system wanted, but at the same time, he also knew that he was building an exchange that would go on to have over $100 billion in assets deposited thereon. This is an exchange that has helped to bring cryptocurrency into the mainstream. And I think CZ realized, you know what? If I got to spend a few years in prison to build this, even if it wasn't built perfectly, even if it wasn't built correctly, even if there were a few things wrong that the C-suite executives that were left behind after me have to put together, at least I made my mark. And I think that's what CZ is feeling right now. He's thinking, all right, yeah, I got 4 months in prison, but I built a multi-$100 billion organization, a multi-$100 billion organization that helped to bring tens of millions of people into the cryptocurrency space. He's probably sitting there patting himself on the back behind closed doors where nobody can see it, saying, we did good. We did good. 4 months ain't bad. I'll pay that price for what I built. That's probably what he's thinking. He is probably thinking, gee whiz, I wish I had done a better job with the anti-money laundering and everything. But ultimately, I think that this is actually kind of a bullish case. At the end of the day, CZ predicted this in 2023, March 3rd, 2023, posting the 4, getting 4 months in prison. He knew that it was only going to be 4. No, of course not. I also recognize the importance of having a robust KYC and anti-money laundering program. That is why I directed Binance to cooperate with the U.S.'s investigation. As you can see, that is a very big deal. The judge knew that he was trying to cooperate with them. This is kind of one of those instances of not so much an honest mistake. You know, it was a big mistake, but you know that at the end of the day, it didn't need to carry 10 years in prison because they knew he wasn't out there trying to hurt people. I think the first step is taking responsibility is to fully recognize the mistakes. Here, I failed to fully set up a Know Your Customer program. Zhao said moments before hearing the judge's final decision. I also recognize the importance of having a robust KYC/anti-money laundering program. That is why I directed Binance to cooperate with the U.S.'s investigation. Hence, he only got 4 months in prison. Contrasting with the 25-year penalty that FTX's Sam Bankman-Fried got because he was one of the biggest liars, manipulators, and con artists that the judge had ever seen, in a rough paraphrase. Goes to show you being a good person helps. Like, this is a win for those of us that are moral. FTX's founder, Sam Bankman-Fried, is flat broke as a joke, and he will rot in prison for the next 2.5 decades. CZ is going to spend 4 months in prison because, yeah, he built a multi-$100 billion company, and he didn't get everything right. Wow. Go freaking figure. You built one of the largest companies on the planet, and you did something wrong? Really? Like, you didn't manage to get every single piece of that thing built perfectly? How dare you, right? We sit on our high horse and look down on people that were trying, and they didn't get everything done perfectly correctly. He's a good guy from what I can tell. I could be totally wrong. I've never met him. I've met a lot of the people in crypto. I've never met CZ. But 4 months makes sense. Goes to show you that trying to be a good person, taking responsibility for your own actions, still matters in this world. Hopefully you guys are enjoying today's stream. The implication of this on the markets is that the markets have, of course, gone into a corrective movement, partially because of what's going on with the Fed meeting and the stock market, but also partially because CZ was sentenced to 4 months. Nobody likes that CZ was sentenced to 4 months in prison, but it definitely was a lot better than it could have been. So the market's kind of taking it as a bearish thing. He went to prison naturally, but in the long run, it's actually kind of a good thing. It goes to show you that there are good people in cryptocurrency. You have to understand that it is important to, yeah, anyway, let's continue on here. We're going to read some chat. Do appreciate all of you guys for tuning in. When Sam gets out, he'll still have more money than us. Yeah, but 25 less years of freedom. You can't be, that's the thing, is that we are called to be sovereign, right? We're called to be sovereign over our own bodies. That's the thing that prison does to you. It takes away your freedom to control even your own flesh. It is definitely 25 years. That's a lot of time. Sooner or later, they'll go after Vitalik at CryptoJeb. Maybe. They might. All right. You should start your own channel since you can predict the future. Are you talking to me or somebody else? Well, we started the channel about 7 years ago, so I don't predict it perfectly every time. I won't sit here and claim I get it right every time, but we did get it right this time, and that is fun. We live in a simulation, Jeb. Is that so? Verhoofd fluffen. Verhoofd fluffen. Verhoofd fluffen. Now, the sky's been falling since the dawn of civilization. Exactly. Now, Mike Lowry leads us into our next segment saying, just relax. This is normal for a bull run. I want to kick off this second segment with that comment. First of all, before we get into it, we've got 600 people watching, only 100 likes. Come on, guys. The sixth law of money is to be generous. I'm not saying that if you hit the like button, money will come to you, but I am saying that if you hit the like button, I'll give you a cookie in chat. I'll give you a cookie emoji. If you want a fortune cookie, Hit the like button. Let's see if we can't get to 250 likes. Come on, we can do it. Helps to support the channel. Helps get this message out here. And by the way, guys, the knowledge that I am teaching you guys is the product. It's not about me. It's about the things I'm trying to show you. This is not about aggrandizing myself. It never has been. It's about building you guys up in wisdom that you may prosper. So hit the like button so that we can get this wisdom that we are teaching of financial sovereignty out to the masses. Thank you so much for everybody who is hitting the like button. Just relax. This is normal for a bull run. Exactly. So let's talk about what is normal for this bull run and then what is normal for normal bull runs. There's quite a lot to cover, so let's get started. With this corrective movement, Bitcoin has just made history in this bull market. We have now dropped 24% over the last 48 days from the all-time high. Why is that important? We have not dropped over 20% so far in this bull market. In this corrective movement, we dropped about 20%, about 21%, but it was about 20%. In this corrective movement, 2 corrections ago, we dropped 21%, so right at 20. In this corrective movement back here, we dropped about 21 to 22%, right at 20%. So far, we have dropped about 23.5%. This is the largest percentage drop that we have witnessed so far in the entire bull market. And by the way, it is also the largest dollar value drop that we've witnessed in this bull market by a country mile. The second largest was a $9,000 drop right here. All of these drops over here were about $6,000 to $7,000. This has been a much larger drop, about $17,000. These are all similar drops on percentage scales, but if we look here on the regular chart, it is a significantly larger drop in terms of dollars. Is this something that we ought to be worried about? I don't think so. Could I be wrong? Yeah. I don't think this is something that we should be terribly worried about. And the reason for that, quite simply, is because of the fact that Bitcoin has a lot of things going for it this time that it did not last time. It has an ETF going for it. The altcoin space is vastly more developed. We've got Ethereum ETFs going online the world over. We have a significantly higher amount of regulatory clarity in the space than we did even several years ago. An Ethereum ETF in the United States is likely in the next few years, potentially in the next couple of months. I kind of doubt it at this point, but we've also just generally seen an overall growing up of the space. Bitcoin was almost always going to go through this corrective movement down to this uptrending level of support. We've been predicting that for months. A couple of months ago, we predicted that Bitcoin would drop down to at least $60,000. And then we also predicted it would probably come back down to this uptrending level of support. Even a week ago, we also talked about how we could potentially drop as low as $47,800, which would be, in grand total, a $26,000 crash. This is a larger corrective movement than Bitcoin has witnessed thus far in this bull market, but it is not something that we ought to lose our heads over. And the reason for that is because Bitcoin so far in this bull market has not been having large enough crashes. In the 2016-17 bull market, in the 2016-17 bull market, we saw almost a dozen, at least 6 or 7, crashes of about 40%. These were major, major drops where Bitcoin would drop by almost half. Happened 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times at least. We would drop by over 40%. That's part of the reason the bull market lasted so long. In 2020 and 2021, Bitcoin would drop multiple times again. In 2019, we would drop a grand total of 72%. Then up here, it's kind of hard to see. It doesn't look very big, but it is. This drop right here was a 30% corrective movement in the first part of 2021. Even right here, again, does not look like a huge corrective movement, but it actually kind of is. This is a 23% drop. Bitcoin, even during the bull market, once again, saw a crash down here to 55%. 55%, which was as a result of the fact that during the majority of 2020, with all of the stimulus checks coming in and all the QE happening in the market, the money was so easy. People were just dumping money into risk-on assets because why the heck not? They're getting it for free from the government anyway, quote-unquote free. They'd have to turn around and pay it back in taxes and in inflation. But in the short run, they were getting it for free. So they just dumped money into the market. We rallied 1,600% in 400 days, right? It's almost 0.25% a day. Absolutely nuts. And so we didn't really see enough crashes here. What we instead saw was a couple of very large crashes. We saw a crash right here, 70%. Saw a crash right here, 50%. Those were our 2 largest crashes. One of those has not happened yet. Bitcoin's been dropping 20% and just kind of gradually moving to the upside here. Mark my words, remember it. Remember what I'm about to say. If you remember nothing else from what I say in this stream, remember this. At some point during this bull market, Bitcoin will almost certainly witness at least a 40% correction. It may be now. If Bitcoin dropped down to $47,000, that would be a 36% drop. That's right there in the realm of a 40% drop. It could happen. And it doesn't necessarily mean that the bull market is over. This is why I want you taking profits when you're in a lot of profit. This is why I want you being able to buy the dip when you're in a lot of gain. So what do we do here? First things first. This is an unprecedented level for Bitcoin. There is always a possibility that the bear market could start early. I don't think that's going to happen. All of our analysis leads us to the conclusion that we are going to rally farther than 70 because of the halving and the ETFs and everything else. That is highly likely. That being said, this is the largest drop that we've seen so far in this market, so I want you to be cautious. I would not necessarily start deploying more capital yet. I would wait for us to start moving back to the upside at this point because we're in uncharted territory. That being said, if you're sitting on your cash account, it's not a bad idea if you're going to buy Bitcoin and hold it for at least 5 years. Hear me there. Not if you're going to buy Solana and hold it for 3 months. Not if you're going to buy Cardano and hold it for a year. But if you're going to buy Bitcoin and hold it for at least 5 years, it's not a bad idea to buy this dip because it could go a heck of a lot lower in the short run. Pretty much at any point in history, if you hold Bitcoin for 5 years, it's worth more than it was when you bought it. Same thing with the stock market. That's why Bitcoin is starting to move into the league of the stock market. It is moving in the same direction as U.S. stocks. If you buy it and you hold it for at least 5 years, you're almost guaranteed to be in profit. If you're going to buy Bitcoin and hold it for at least 5 years, then sure, deploy some cash right now into the Bitcoin space. At least consider doing that. I'm not trying to be a financial advisor, obviously. That being said, I also want you to be very careful here, because the floor could fall out from below us here for a while. We could go lower. If you're going to deploy cash, be conservative with it and wait for the market to start rallying again. As we start going back up, if we break some resistance and we're pushing towards 62 or 63, that's where you can start saying, hey, I'm going to deploy cash after you realize it's not a bear trap. What smart investors do is that they pick assets that will almost certainly be worth more in 5 years. And then when the market dips, they buy the dip. And if it doesn't go the way they want it to in the next year, then they just sit on it for 5 years, and then they come back, and boy howdy, they've got some money. Wow. It's that simple. An example of what I'm talking about here. If you had bought the United States stock market, the US S&P 500 back in 08, here's what you might have done. You might have said, oh man, look, we're dropping. Oh, we're going to buy it right here. Boom. Yay. We got a good deal. Woo. We were up here at 158. We bought it at 120. Yay, we're moving into 08. Oh my gosh, we bought the dip. Ah! If you were planning on holding it for a year, you lost your butt. But the thing about the United States stock market, which is very similar to Bitcoin, is that if you buy it and you hold it for 5 years, you're almost certainly going to be in profit. And so you bought it in 08, you held it till 2013, you're in profit by 20%. And then you kept on buying. You kept on buying. You kept on buying. But the way that you were able to keep on buying as the market continued to drop was because the S&P 500, the United States stock market, is an ingrained part of the fabric of civilization. You can reasonably expect that in 5 years, it will be worth more than it is now, just about no matter where it is. More or less. Like, not generally. There are a few times where 5 years later, it still hasn't gone back to where it started, to where it was, right? There's a few times. Like, for example, if you bought right here at the top, you would have had to hold it for about 5 years. About 5 years later, it's back, right? So that's why I say if you're planning on buying Bitcoin and holding it for 5 years, you could be buying it right now. And this very well could be one tiny little crash. We could drop all the way down to $40,000. It's possible. We drop all the way down to 30. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but it could happen. I don't want you to think to yourself, oh my goodness. First of all, I deployed all my cash. I got in too early. Now I got nothing down here at 30. That's why I teach you to hold on to some of your cash. Don't ever deploy all of it. We're deploying like 2% of it. 3% of it, 5% of it at once, at most. We're holding on to the majority of it. We're being conservative. We're having the ability to put more in. We're not deploying all of our cash at once. You guys ask about that all the time. Don't deploy all of your cash at once. The market may be down 23%. That's a good deal. But I tell you what's a better deal? It being down 50%. And if we go down there and you got no money, you're going to be sad. Like, this is as simple as I can make it. You're going to be disappointed in yourself that you put it all in right now. That being said, if you're buying something like Bitcoin and Ethereum, you can almost be certain that 5 years from now, it's going to be worth more than it is right now. So if you have that time horizon, which you should, if you consider yourself an investor, you've got to be looking out multiple years to be doing this correctly. Then even if your plan for this cycle doesn't pan out, even if, for example, Bitcoin, goes into a bear market right now. I don't think it will, but let's say it did. Then if you hold it for 5 years, it's going to be worth more. Almost certainly. Again, we can't be certain. We can't be totally certain, but we can be quite confident. That's where a lot of you guys are with altcoins. And I'm sorry to say that the altcoins are not as established, even something like Cardano. They're not as established as Bitcoin is. I love Cardano. I think it will go back to its all-time high. But if I look out into the future, I'm like, I think it'll be worth more than the previous all-time high in 5 years. I think. With Bitcoin, I have the ability to say, based on the track record, based on its status in culture, I can almost guarantee you it'll be worth more in 5 years. So it gives me the confidence to say if something goes sideways in the short term, I'll just hold it for the long term. And it becomes a long-term investment. It's one of the ways you succeed with money. So that's what I want you to do on this correction. Be looking at and considering deploying capital, but we're not going to deploy all of it, not even most of it. I don't want, if you've got $40,000 in cash, I don't want you deploying $30,000 right now. I want you to think about, I'm going to deploy 3, 4, 5, maybe 10, 15% of the cash account over the next week or something. Buy the dip, keep cash. People that made money in 2008, the people that made, here, let me give you an example here. The people that made some money in 08, here's the people that made some money in 08. The people that made some money in 2008, those are the people that had a little bit of money, they had some debt, they had a car payment, they had a lease, they had student loans. They had a house that was too big for them, they couldn't afford it, couldn't afford the house payment. But they had $5,000 on the side, so they just kind of deployed, and they also didn't realize they needed to hold on to some of their cash. So because their income was being eaten up by all their debt and all their overhead and, the travel, sports, and whatever else, let's say that you're 15-year-old, it's $1,000 a month to play lacrosse. Did you know that? No, it's not really, but you get my point. They have no money to build wealth with, and they also don't know how to do it. So they said, "Oh, I'm an investor now. I'm going to deploy $5,000 right now." They would have been a lot better off if they had deployed 1,000 of the 5,000 right then, and then 1,000 of the 5,000 right then, and then 1,000 of the 5,000 right here, and 1,000 of the 5,000 right there. Even if they didn't manage to buy the dip, and they just ended up dollar cost averaging the rest of it over the next year, and the dip never happened, they'd still have been better off if they had have spread out their investment and always held on to some cash to deploy into the market. The principle is thus: never, ever, ever. Let me say this on full screen. We need to clip this. Never, ever, ever deploy all of your cash in your cash account into the investments. I'm not talking about your emergency fund. I'm not talking about the cash in your checking account. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the money you set aside for investment purposes. Your cash account from our investment plan that we set up. Never deploy all of the cash because the market can always go lower. Make sense? I thought so. Cool. All right, let's read some chat. Appreciate it. Appreciate all of you guys for tuning in. Let's read a little bit of what you guys have to say about all of this. Always love interacting with you guys. Guys, we've got 700 people watching live. I know we can get to 350. I know we can get to 350 likes. Let's do it. CZ snitch out SBF to Gary. Remember, how will that fly in the joint? I wonder how that's going to fly in the joint when they find out that the guy he ratted out cost people $10 billion. He's probably going to be floating around on top of hands in there, right? He's going to be crowd surfing in there. Oh, my goodness. Queen said, amen. What's next? Yeah, so who thinks it'll go lower than $55,000? Good question. Let's put that as a poll. Sorry, here we go. Will Bitcoin fall below $55,000? Question mark. Let's see. Love to hear what you guys think. CZ blew the whistle on FTX, which caused the bank run that nailed SBF's coffin shut. That's right. Which was good. It should have been called out. They were acting like a bank while also saying that they didn't like banks. It was some nonsense. All right. Didn't have enough assets to cover the deposits. And the industry is a lot stronger now because FTX went down in the long run. Because the industry now, it is because the industry now operates by disclosing reserves, which they didn't do before. So that was a good point of growth. Unfortunately, it cost a lot of people a lot of money. It was a heavy price that we paid for that lesson, but it is something that we've grown on. John Doe said AOL stock never came back. Netscape never came back. Many digital assets are gone. Exactly. That's why I want you to focus on investing in assets that you are almost certain are going to come back in 5 years. AOL may be gone. The stock market's not going to be gone. We got bigger fish to fry if the United States stock market goes belly up. Like, I don't know, real fish, because we're not going to be able to go to a grocery store because society shut down. Right? That's like when people say, "Oh, well, Jeb, what? I don't want to buy Bitcoin because what happens if they shut down the internet?" Brother, you got bigger fish to fry than Bitcoin if they shut down the internet. Like billions of people starving to death if they shut down the internet. All of modern agriculture, modern heating and air, modern industry, modern water services, trash, everything operates on the internet. Oh, but what if they shut down the internet? Yeah, you ain't gonna be worrying about your Bitcoin investment, man. You're gonna be trying to pay for something in bottle caps. You know, it's one of those things where set yourself up in that situation where the worst case scenario is so laughable that it could happen. You know, the stock market could crash and never come back, right? But it's probably not going to happen until the end of days, which will happen eventually. But at that point, we'll be much more concerned about our investment in heaven than our investments on earth. EV stocks, many tech stocks get delisted from the stock exchanges. Yep, it's one of the reasons I like Bitcoin. It tracks the entire cryptocurrency market, and it's one of the reasons I like the S&P 500. It is actively managed, and companies move into and drop out of the S&P 500 all the time. So if a company isn't doing well, then your S&P 500 ETF no longer includes that company after a while. Remember, always remember, your focus determines your reality. George Lucas. That is correct. That is right. Queen said financial sovereignty or nada. You talk too fast. I've heard people say that for years. People have been saying that for a long, long time. Long, long time. Politics creates charts. Biden wants to tax your chart green candles. Lil Jeb chart showed us that. Yeah. Loving this channel. Thank you. I'm invested in bananas. There you go. The agnostic amphibian. $5,000 plumbing bill. Insurance won't cover. Trying so hard not to sell my Bitcoin. That's why I want you guys to have a 3 to 6 month emergency fund so you don't have to sell assets and so that you don't have to go into debt. The agnostic amphibian. So sorry. So sorry that's happening to you. That is one of our steps in the financial sovereignty way. Having a 3 to 6 month emergency fund. If you've got a really steady income, then you can kind of get by on 3 months. If you've got a less steady income, you don't really know if your boss likes you at work, you might be firing you any day now, then you might want a 6 month emergency fund. But that's why you have that. So you don't have to liquidate investments or go into debt to pay for different expenses such as that. Remember, the sky's been falling for all of recorded history. Yep. Yep. It's also good to invest in precious metals such as lead and brass, Shadrach Frost said. Oh no, Red Lobster is closing all the restaurants. Are you serious? I don't know about that. What? Are you serious? That's not right. Okay. I'm not sure that's correct. I'm not sure that's right. All right, we're going to read a little bit of chat, and then we will continue to move on. John Doe said, tip my hat to you, Jeb. You called it. Thank you. Like I said, we don't always get it right. I don't want to sit here and pridefully act like we're always going to get it right. But we did get this one right. And the reason we were able to get it right was because of technical analysis and because of experience. We've got to continue to learn those things. If we have a global shutdown, gold will be as valuable. The shiny yellow heavy rock, you can't eat that or travel with a lot of it. Yeah. Red Lobster closed. Really? Maybe it did. Sell your TV instead. We just sold a TV yesterday, actually. Sold a 13-year-old TV and put up a brand new one. So beautiful. Oh, man. Those 4K, 65-inch Vizio. Oh, my goodness. They're making TVs like never before nowadays. Guys, I do want to let you know that today's stream is also brought to you in part by Vault. I want you to go and sign up for Vault. Here's why. Vault has solved a lot of very serious problems in cryptocurrency that you've probably been dealing with for a long time. You want your cryptocurrency to be able to access an exchange so that you can trade it if the market moves. You don't want to have all the friction of having to move it from your cold storage wallet to the exchange. But you also don't want to keep your money, your Bitcoin in this case, on exchange because you're worried about something happening. It's easier to get hacked. Not necessarily the exchange, but you. You have to deal with that level of exposure. That is a time-proven problem in cryptocurrency. Do I have it on a cold wallet where it's honestly less liquid? It's harder to get it to market because it takes time. Or do I keep it on exchange where it's more exposed? I'm able to access the market quickly, but it's exposed to hackers and thieves. Vault has solved that dilemma by creating a product known as Vault. If you go to the link in the description box down below, go to products and services right here and go to Vault, then you will see that they have created a better version of self-custody. And the way they've done this is through something called assisted key replacement and access to instant trading. Essentially, the way this works is that you have 2 keys, which allows you to control your vault. And then they have a 3rd key. To unlock your vault, you need 2 of any of these 3 keys. So should you lose one, Uphold will replace the one that you lost with the Uphold key and help you restore the system back to the way that it was at the beginning, with having 2 keys for yourself, and Uphold has another key. This also allows for you to instantly access Uphold's 24/7 cryptocurrency exchange. But it's trustless because it is true cold storage. Uphold can't access your keys because it takes 2 keys to get into the vault. You have 2 keys, so you have total control, and Uphold is there in case you lose one. Genius idea. Absolutely genius idea. This is like one of those ideas that you come up with and you're like, this is a great idea. I have no idea how to do this technologically. Uphold said that, and then they actually did it. So, great idea. Check them out. Link in the description box down below. Great place to keep your Bitcoin so that it is accessible in on an exchange. Fallout references all morning. Yep, that's right. Red's Lobster will just move markets. Thailand has sizzlers all over. Interesting. Can they produce more than 1 extra key for their custody? No, they cannot. Nope. Nope. Now, I believe what happens is that if you were to lose a key, they'll just kind of reset the whole thing, and then you would have 2 keys again, and then they'd have 1 key. But you would be able to get back into it with the Uphold key while that reset is going on. Hey, Jeb, watching from Canada. Thanks for being unashamedly a Christian in this space. Romans 1:16, the good news of Christ's life, death, and resurrection is life-changing. Amen and praise God. Craig the Space Bomb said, Jeb, are you still colorblind? No, it healed. Oh, to quote Monty Python, I got better. Yes, I'm still colorblind. That doesn't change. Oh, my goodness. Yeah, no, that I am still colorblind. I see in black and white. No, I'm just kidding. I don't lose in black and white. I don't see in black and white. So if you lose both keys, well, the reason that if you lose both keys, then you truly are up a creek. But it is still better than if you were in a situation where you only had the 1 key. See, the thing is, you keep both the keys stored separately. It's a little bit like having a backup. You have both keys, and then you have a backup for one of them. It is highly unlikely that you're going to lose both keys at once. You keep them stored differently so that it's highly unlikely that you'll lose both of them. Like, for example, our family is coming up with a solution to pictures because you probably know this. There are thousands, hundreds of thousands sometimes of pictures that a family will keep. And we want to keep, pretty much all of them. So what we decided we're going to do is we're going to get a hard drive that'll go in a safe. We're going to get a hard drive that'll go in a bank safety deposit box. And we're going to get a hard drive, not a hard drive, but a file on our computers. And we're going to scan all of our pictures that we want to keep and then organize them by year and then by month. This is us being sovereign over our pictures, by the way. We actually live this stuff, by the way. It's not just in finance. Sovereignty is a whole all-encompassing idea. We just talk about finances here on the channel mainly. But you have a backup. This is the idea of a backup. So we're going to have a year worth of this. This is an idea we haven't done it yet, but this is what we're probably going to do. We're going to have the last year on our desktop, on our computers of pictures. Every month, we'll back it up into the hard drive in our safe. And every 3 months, we'll back it up into the hard drive in our safe, but also into the hard drive in the safety deposit box. So 4 times a year, we'll just go there and plug it into a laptop, spend 15 minutes, port everything over, and then boom. It is extremely unlikely that our computer will fail, the hard drive in the safe will fail, and the hard drive at the safety deposit box in the bank will all fail at once. Should one of them fail, are you seeing the analogy here? In this case, I'm talking about 3 keys. This is a case where we have 2 keys. Should one of them fail, it's extremely unlikely both of them will fail at once. But should one of them fail, then you can use the system to regenerate it. Should my laptop fail, I can use the backup to regenerate it. Should the hard drive in the safe fail, I can use the other 2 backups to regenerate it. Should the hard drive in the safety deposit box of the bank fail, I can use the backups to regenerate it. It's kind of how the private keys work here with Uphold. You've got 2 keys. You can fix. It's extremely unlikely you're going to lose both of them at once. It's far more easier to lose 1 key than it is to lose 2. It's about like lightning striking twice at the same place. So if you lose one of them, Uphold will regenerate it. You got to get on it because then you're down to 1 key, but that's just the same as any other old cold wallet. And then you go ahead and fix it. So dramatically reduces the likelihood that you're going to lose all of your Bitcoin. 'Tis but a scratch, merely a flesh wound. I love all the references in chat. I keep my Ledger Nanos and other important items in a Faraday bag in my gun safe in case of a crap hits the fan day. That's a good idea. Faraday bag. That's a really good idea. That's a great idea. Of course, you can always write them down, the seed phrases. Guys, I do also want to let you know that today's stream is brought to you in part by Crypto.com. There is a new brand film over here that you guys should go and check out. This is absolutely great. If you are like me and you're a hard driver in cryptocurrency and you want to take on the world, saying, I'm going to make something of myself in cryptocurrency, Crypto.com is the right place for you. They're trusted by over 80 million users for a good reason. It's about 1/5 of America if those were all in America. And this is a great place to set up your recurring purchases. So make sure to check out Crypto.com with the link in the description box down below. We're going to read a little bit more chat and then we're going to wrap it out. Let's see. 'Tis but a scratch. 0.518 fib retracement on Bitcoin is 52K. Exactly. 64% of you think Bitcoin will fall below 55K. Leads me to believe it will probably happen. Because what a lot of people think will happen is probably going to happen. Oftentimes. I'm going to miss those Red Lobster biscuits. Yeah. Good deal. So drop a 1 in chat if you're interested in Vault. I'm very excited for it. People would be finding 12 words on a piece of paper in the future and be like, what? What? None of these words make sense. Yes. Cool. All right. Hope you guys have enjoyed today's stream. We are going to wrap it out. Thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in. And make sure to check out our sponsors down below. They help to make this channel possible. We're in love with all of them. They are great, great products. And guys, make sure to stay tuned because we got a lot more coming, working on some great stuff behind the scenes that is going to help you guys become financially sovereign. If you've enjoyed today's video, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. But before we go, I do just first want to thank each and every single last one of you for watching, as always. And I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.
Oh, I got a real good